January 1984 saw the premiere of one of the more successful news shows of the year, Airwolf, starring Jan Michael Vincent. It ran for 3 seasons, nobody including me counts the 4th one on USA, and frankly, I never missed it if I could help it. Airwolf was the most advanced attack helicopter of its time. It has super weapons, retractable landing gear, and can fly faster than the speed of sound. Its pilot, Stringfellow Hawk, essentially steals it and hides it, then tells the government, "You have a missing helicopter. I have a missing brother. You find my brother, I return your helicopter." As part of the deal, he flies dangerous missions for a mysterious agency, but he's still the one in control of the helicopter. I don't tend to keep up with such things, so I don't know if it's still true or not, but Airwolf was a phenomenon for quite some time. Nobody remembers the other show about a super-powered helicopter that premiered a little over 2 weeks earlier. Let's see if we can find out why. The first Blue Thunder was a 1983 action thriller. Los Angeles has been chosen as the testing ground for Blue Thunder, a new and super-powered attack helicopter. Its pilot is Frank Murphy, played by Roy Scheider. With Murphy in the cockpit is his observer, Richard Lymangood, played by Daniel Stern. Murphy calls him Jaffo and even gives him a hat with the acronym on it. Lymangood is forever trying to find out what it means, but he spends most of his time as Murphy's navigator, computer whiz, communication man, and otherwise good right hand. Murphy starts uncovering evidence that there's more to this whole project than he's been told, and a lot of it is illegal. When he starts poking around too much, Jaffo is kidnapped and murdered. But at least he got his question answered before he died.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I found out what Jaffo is. Just another observer, huh?
Murphy goes rogue, steals the helicopter, blows everybody involved in the conspiracy into itty-bitty pieces, and then wraps things up.
And now it's your turn.
The movie was successful enough to pay for that engineer's therapy, which is good because he was scarred for life, and you can definitely see the early 80s all over it. Big conspiracy, stirring up trouble in the barrio so they have an excuse to use deadly force, rogue guy who bucks the system and wins. It's good stuff. And to get a good handle on this series, you really don't need to know anything about the movie. In fact, it's to your advantage if you don't. That way you don't have to ask who reassembled the helicopter. ABC wanted to be quick to pounce on the popularity of the movie, so they tapped veteran writer and producer Roy Huggins to create the series. Among other things, he was largely responsible for shows like The Fugitive and The Rockford Files. Good choice. The names have been changed to protect both the guilty and the deceased. Not only is the helicopter back, Jaffo got over being dead. James Ferrantino is Frank Chaney, while Clinton Wonderlove, aka Jaffo, is played by a pre-Saturday Night Live Dana Carvey. This was only his second TV series. A couple of years earlier, he had played opposite Mickey Rooney, Meg Ryan, and Nathan Lane in a sitcom called One of the Boys that lasted all of 13 episodes. When Blue Thunder folded after only 11 episodes, Hollywood decided he was a jinx and ran him out of town. Okay, I made that part up. From here, he rambled around for a couple of years until he landed the gig at SNL. The rest, you already know. Everybody is on the side of good this time, including our new commander, Captain Braddock. We also have a ground crew consisting of Ski Butowski and Bubba Kelsey, played by Dick Butkus and Bubba Smith, respectively. After these two retired from football, they basically teamed up to go into acting, and for the most part they succeeded. By this time, they were practically household names thanks to their series of commercials for Miller Lite beer.
I also love the easy opening can.
In one of them, they've been to the opera and they're complaining that they couldn't understand a word of it. Most everybody knows their most famous lines from that commercial.
We can't afford to get filled up. Tomorrow night, we're going to the ballet.
Yeah, I sure hope they do it in English.
Me too.
The way they played off each other, they were a natural choice for these roles. Not only did they get to revisit some of their hard-hitting days, they got to provide a lot of comedy relief. Here's our first taste.
They got a speed limit out here, too, you know.
You should have thought of that when you made us late.
I made us late. You were washing the windshield.
I got finished with the windshield, and you were still polishing that thingamajig.
That thingamajig is a computerized data bank system.
Look, you know the brass that they're going to have out there this morning? Senators and admirals, generals, and I don't know what all. And I'm going to get us there on time. And if you don't like it, you can stick it in your computerized data bank system.
Mean. The man is just plain mean.
You know how sometimes that first bite of something is a little bland, but it gets better as you keep eating? Yeah.
I'm Major McLowe from Apex, the federal agency which has chartered this special group.
Apex is the mysterious government agency that not only owns Blue Thunder, but owns all the unit's people, too. The Blue Thunder unit is part of the LAPD, but they report directly to Apex and receive their ultimate orders from the same. If the department wants them to do something, they have to clear it with Apex first. The good thing about that is Apex virtually never says no because the captain and his team do their homework before they go to Apex with a request. The helicopter itself has a 60mm Vulcan gun mounted on the nose, and the pilot has a heads-up display that he can use to aim it with pinpoint accuracy. Later on, we'll add a single-shot barrel that pops out from the center. The first time we see it, he shoots a gun out of someone's hand with it. In the early episodes, he pulled it down by hand. Later, it was automatic when he armed the gun. Blue Thunder also has incredible zoom lens capability to the point where they can read a business card from 100 yards away. It has super sensitive directional microphones, thermal imaging, and it also has a whisper mode. This suppresses the rotor noise and makes it fly practically silent. I have yet to hear any explanation as to how that might work. One review of this series that I read said that Frank Chaney is as serious as a heart attack. I've had a heart attack and the reviewer is mistaken. Frank is a serious guy, yes, but he has a light side too.
What the hell was that little stunt you just pulled?
I was demonstrating Blue Thunder's flying abilities.
Look, remember you weren't my choice for this job in the first place. You watch yourself, I'll bust you to a squad car.
You did that, sir, 6 months ago.
That's something they never followed up on. By the next episode, the two of them were like brothers. And in an episode where the captain's daughter is kidnapped and taken to Mexico, Frank and the team risk everything, including an international incident, to rescue her. 3 or 4 episodes in, he's like everybody's doting father, and they dote right back.
I promised you I wouldn't give you any more trouble.
I know you.
And I meant it. No more trouble.
Good.
Unless, of course, we don't see eye to eye on things.
Yeah, that pretty well never happened again after the first episode. He's also a bit of a womanizer.
I am, as the captain stated, supervising prosecutor for the United States Attorney's Office. I'm here representing the government to make sure that you adhere to all rules of evidence.
Excuse me.
Yes,
It's Ms. O'Connell.
you must be Cheney, the pilot, Cheney.
Oh, you've done your homework, haven't you? I just want to say, on behalf of all of us, how pleased we are that Washington saw fit to send such an attractive representative.
Did I say womanizer? I should have added sexist.
Wow, sing in the dark? That opens up all kinds of interesting possibilities, don't you think so?
I'm always ready for opening up interesting possibilities. Hello.
Hi. Seems we both want the bok choy.
Yes.
How about this? I gave on the parking space. You give on the bok choy.
I have a much better idea. Why don't I buy the bok choy and I'll use it to cook an incredible dinner for you?
Oh, you cook too.
I will make you a meal the likes of which you've never tasted before. A meal fit for a princess.
I think that sounds delightful.
She's his government-appointed supervising officer on his current mission. Frank has difficulty taking women in authority seriously. And just to tie up a loose end, yes, they end up falling for each other, at least until the bad guys kill her. So there it is. The observer's job is to monitor the computer, radar, other scanners, and communications and feed relevant information to the pilot.
Jaffo, punch me up the area maps at all coordinates within a 100-mile radius of Agua Dulce.
Frank, there you go again, Jaffo.
Just another frustrated observer.
Just another observer, huh?
You know YouTube is really clamping down on things when you have to censor the word frustrated. Wonderlove doesn't like being called Jaffo, but the name will stick and he'll come to accept it.
Reminds me of Jimmy Stewart in Shenandoah. Meet you at Bill Bailey's place in a half hour.
As long as he can do his impressions. Dana Carvey will find a way to slip one or two into each episode with varying degrees of success.
I'll clock you in as a 13:30 hours.
That's JJ, the dispatcher. Her role will get bigger as we go along. She's played by Ann Cooper, but most people who know Ann Cooper don't remember her looking like that. They remember her looking like this from her role in Blue Sunshine. I haven't seen that movie, and I admit that of the two, I find JJ much more not creepy. Jaffo has it bad for her.
You know, you're very attractive.
Thank you.
I was thinking that maybe later on you and I could go out and grab some dinner.
I don't think so.
How about a movie? Or maybe just go to my place and have a drink and talk for a while.
No. Thank you.
Too bad she doesn't have it back for him. On the other hand, when he goes to Frank for advice, Frank tells him this.
Don't bother. Nobody scores with JJ. Nobody.
And he's right. Ultimately, he'll quit asking.
That's funny.
What?
Oh, Von Hardig. I've been trying to reach him on and off for a half hour, and I just keep getting a busy signal.
Skywatchers from Jacksonville to San Diego were able to catch glimpses of the shuttle this morning on its 6th pass over North.
You probably left the phone off with it.
That's what's funny. He was supposed to be here an hour ago.
They wind up becoming friends.
Cheney, I'm glad you're back with your outfit, but I just wanted you to know it was great riding with you.
Same here, Perkins. Couldn't have had a better partner. Oh, I'm sorry. Officer Perkins, Federal Officer Wonderlove.
Hi.
Hi.
As long as he's not checking out another girl. Watch that again and note JJ's expression.
Cheney, I'm glad you're back with your outfit, but I just wanted you to know it was great riding with you.
Same here, Perkins. Couldn't have had a better partner. Oh, I'm sorry. Officer Perkins, Federal Officer Wonderlove.
Hi.
Hi.
One of the most curious things about the series is pretty much any aerial battle happened against either another attack helicopter or a World War II era propeller plane. Only once did someone think to use a jet, and that was a Korean War era plane. Now, some of those guys were your basic terrorists who have to go with what they can afford and obtain, but not always. You get the feeling we weren't all that confident our helicopter could take on an F-15. One big issue that plagued each episode is padding. Example? In the second episode, we watched that same sequence 3 times. None of them is necessary. By the 8th or 9th episode, they'd shortened it a little, but we still had to watch it at least once an episode. There are long chase sequences, including one where a heat-seeking missile is following Blue Thunder through some jagged canyons, and it takes 30 seconds for it to hit one of the walls. Trim that down to about 10 seconds and you have an exciting sequence. This counts as padding. Establishing shots are fairly short, but there are tons of them. There's also a buttload of reused footage, most of it from the movie. So we tend to see dogfights happen over terrain that seems oddly familiar multiple times. Somebody shoots at the helicopter, and it's funny how they all manage to hit those same spots every time. Having said all that, I can forgive a lot if you tell a good story and tell it well. And Blue Thunder does. In the second episode, for example, we see a right-wing paramilitary group that's going around robbing banks using a combination of a ground squad and a World War II fighter plane. Jeffrey Lewis was perfect in the role of the group's leader, who also happens to be the local sheriff, to the point where he was downright scary. The air battle between the plane and Blue Thunder is well done and believable. It's a good story about the danger of extremism. These guys want their version of democracy, and they'll rob and kill anybody who doesn't agree with them. Sounds eerily familiar in 2020. But to keep things from being a total downer, there's our ground crew.
Hey, this isn't a sports car.
Who's the driver, you or me?
Look, friend, we're gonna be working together now, so try and keep your temper, okay?
What temper?
You got a mean streak a mile wide.
That's a bad rap that was laid on me in football.
You used to bite people.
That's a rotten lie. I got the information.
And Bubba easily wins my award for the best line of the series. Here's the setup. They want to have him and Ski go undercover in the local prison because a high-value guy there is planning to escape, and they need to know when and how. Captain Braddock is concerned for their safety.
You don't think we can handle it? I can be the baddest mother you ever laid eyes on. You mess with me, and I'll be the last thing you'll ever see. You got that, sucker? I thought that sounded pretty tough to me.
I laugh every time I watch that. I thought that sounded pretty tough to me, right after he made Jaffo wet himself. We got some major guest stars as well. I already mentioned Jeffrey Lewis. We also had Richard Lynch, Belinda J. Montgomery, Tracy Scoggins, Kurtwood Smith, Scott Hylands, and playing Captain Braddock's kidnapped daughter Amy was a 24-year-old Kelly Preston. She was just getting started and would do parts like this one for another 4 years before her breakout role as Marnie, Arnold Schwarzenegger's love interest in Twins. Most of us know the rest of her story, including how we lost her to cancer earlier this year. She was just one of many standout performances in this series. It seemed we had everything going for us. So why didn't it click? Well, for one thing, as I said, the network got Roy Huggins to produce the series and then wouldn't give him a free hand. According to some things he said, someone from the network was always meddling until it reached a point around the 9th or 10th episode where he just walked off the job. He was still listed as producer, but he stopped running the show and essentially said, "Fine, you're so smart, you do it." And they did. They revamped the story so Blue Thunder was now doing international missions and gave Frank a new partner not nicknamed Jaffo. Her name was Terrence Burke, her dad wanted boys, and she was not only equal to Jaffo in computer wizardry, she knew how to fly the helicopter and use an automatic weapon. We seemed to have a cool new thing going, and they gave it exactly 1 episode to catch on, then canceled the whole thing. I cannot fathom what the thinking was here, but I have a sinking feeling that lots of drugs were involved. They weren't in competition with Airwolf. It aired on a different night, so the public got 2 for the price of none we didn't pay for broadcast TV, and they didn't step on each other's toes. But the show did have competition. The same competition that killed Manimal. Nothing, and I do mean nothing, could compete with Dallas. It ran for 14 seasons, and for all 14, the best thing the other networks could have done was forget programming, sell the time increments super cheap, and just make it the all-commercial hour. The ratings would have come out the same. We may never know how many good shows Dallas killed, but this is already the second one that I've covered. Some reboots have been discussed, but nothing of substance has ever happened with it, so Blue Thunder is a feature of the somewhat distant past. But honestly, it's a good show that holds up even today. It's available on DVD. So far I haven't seen it on Blu-ray, but I don't have a Blu-ray player, so it doesn't matter to me. And you can pick it up here and there for a decent price. If you like a good action series that can also keep you laughing, take a look. I have a feeling you'll like it.
I thought that sounded pretty tough to me.